Regular viewers will know I've been having a bit of fun learning a few freestyle tricks. To aid my progression, I recently got hold of a dedicated freestyle setup. Now this is very different to my regular skateboard. It's a lot shorter, it's a lot narrower, it's pretty flat on top with very little concave. It's got skid plates to protect the ends. The trucks are rock hard with solid bushings and that helps with the stability. It's also got the offset wheels which help when doing rail stands and anything where you're standing on the side. So far, I've been learning individual tricks and practicing them on those rainy days through lockdown in the front room skate park. The rug has been handy to provide a bit of resistance. It stops any crazy shootouts, but still allows you to get the feel of the trick dialed in. On a recent trip to Cornwall, I found a great little freestyle nook. This had rubberized asphalt, so the wheels could still roll, but if I did shoot out and land on me arse, the landing was a little bit more comfortable. I figured that trying to complete 4 easy freestyle tricks back to back in a line would provide a really fun challenge. The 4 tricks that I chose to work with were the Casper flop, the finger flip, the shove it, and finally the pogo stool. This dedicated freestyle setup definitely provided more consistency when attempting the tricks, and this combined with the more forgiving surface gave me the confidence to enter in to another mini battle. I found that trying to skate a line of tricks was really hard. To make it to the end requires 100% consistency on all the previous tricks. Also, strategy was a big part of it, where to place each trick. I decided to place the hardest trick at the end with the view that I would end up getting there a lot easier. But it's a double-edged sword because I got less practice on the harder trick because it took me longer and more repetitions through the easier tricks. So you could argue that placing the hardest trick at the start could yield good results. However, it is pleasing on the eye to finish with the hardest trick, and it also feels pretty good. I also found as I started to get towards the end of the line, I tensed up and got excited that I was almost there. So to counteract that, I needed to try and relax as I got to that last trick, and that helped me get to the end of the line. Another thing I found when trying to skate a line of tricks was it incentivized me to go for it. I found that if I got a couple of tricks into the line, I was more likely to take a little risk if my foot was slightly wrong and still go for it and commit. Whereas usually, if it was just a single trick attempt, I'd probably bail and start again. However, this extra eagerness to commit to things and also take a few risks ended up in a far greater chance of me landing on me arse. For my next mission, I decided to take this skate in a line concept into other areas. Just recently, I've had a bit of a spine transfer focus, so I thought it'd be fun to try and combine some of my favourite spine transfers into a line. The spine transfer line that I happened upon was to drop in, rock over the spine, rock fakie, come backwards, fakie rock over the spine, do a tail stall, come up, blunt over the spine, rock fakie, back in, do a 180 spin half cab and rock over the spine, rock fakie, and then finish up with a fakie axle stall over the spine. I started by practicing each individual transfer just to get a few under my belt, and then I started down the road of trying to get the line. As with the freestyle line, I found I was far more likely to throw caution to the wind and just commit to something, even if it was all a little bit on the wonk, and this increased the opportunities for me to come a cropper. It was a great feeling when I ended up making the last trick. However, I found there was a difference between just being able to scrape through the line and doing it in such a way that each trick had the preferred style and the correct rhythm and flow. I really wanted to keep going to see if I could clean up each of the tricks and get the line how I wanted. However, I was getting exhausted and there was a fair chance I was going to kill myself. So I had to settle with a scrappy line that nevertheless completed what I set out to do. Just lately, I've been looking to get a few lip tricks going on the vert ramp. I figured the axle stall was a good place to start. Now I've compartmentalised this one, and trying to get into the axle stall up onto the coping is pretty scary. It did occur to me that should I get lucky and end up in the axle stall position, that I wouldn't know how it felt to come back in, and there was a good chance of coming a cropper. So my strategy here was to isolate the second part of the manoeuvre, which was the coming back in off the axles. I got myself lined up on the edge of the 9-foot deep bowl, took a few deep breaths, got into position. Regular viewers will know what's coming here. 100% commitment, 0 skill. Oh my gosh. I felt relieved to have got that bit out of the way. And I found for me, the best strategy is to get straight back up there without thinking and go for it again. This time I made a few corrections. I dialed out the dilly-dallying, went back in without thinking too much, and hey presto, there she blows. Going forward, I've made a pact with myself that every time I go to the Duck Lane skate park, I'm going to do a couple of these axle ins to the deep bowl, and that'll give me far more confidence for when I start attempting the first part of the axle stall, which is getting up onto that coping. Following on from all this punishment, I decided that a few sessions just cruising about with the emphasis on fun would be just a ticket. I recently restored my 1984 Mark I rally burner, and I've been itching to give that a bit of a spin. It was a lovely day, so I popped the surf skate, my long wheelbase skateboard and the rally burner in the van, gave the dudes a shout and made the trip down to our favourite local bowl. for these more mellow sessions, I've been experimenting with not using my pads. I found it adds an extra frisson of excitement. If something does go a bit awry, need to make it work, really sharpens the mind on staying on. And I'm also less likely to try manoeuvres that aren't 100% dialed in, and this alleviates some of the frustration that I feel when I've got my pads on and I'm going for hard tricks and bailing all the time. Well, that's it for this video. Let's hope that summer is half as much fun as spring has been. If you're new to the channel, feel free to hit subscribe. I make new videos every week. You can also follow me on Instagram at John Bishop Skate. As ever, my name's been John Bishop and I'm a middle-aged guy learning how to skate.